Alright, this is the stock FZ1S seat. I've taken the vinyl off it, and what I want to do is I want to create a bit of a hump here to make it a little bit better for the pillion. This one's pretty much dead flat, and under braking it's pretty easy to slide forward. So what I've done is I've taken an FZ1S seat. Originally I was gonna cut that out flat. The idea being that I would flat top that piece, and then I would flat top this, glue the two together and create a single seat. Part of the process of doing that, I kind of worked out that it would be a bit easier to take the hump itself off, not mess with the shape of this, and then glue that hump onto there. So there's some centerline marks, so I can line it up. Centerline this piece here, centerline this. I've traced that around there. I've just used a bit of 80 grit to get this ready so that the adhesive has a bit more surface area to work with. And the bottom side of it, I've just used the bench belt sander to smooth that out. Sort of wafered down the edges so it's pretty smooth. And then what I'm going to put over the top of that is just some 5mm light density foam, just to make it so that the vinyl's got something to press against, and any ridges that show up as I glue it on won't be so obvious. So pretty easy job to do so far. I just used a bread knife to cut that out, and then just sculpted the bottom side of it so it was flat, and as you can see it comes out pretty thin. It's not perfectly sculpted to the shape of this, but I've created a little bit of relief for this and a little bit of relief for those. It's not terribly challenging, just take your time. So next step here is glue this on, and then I'll cover the whole thing in some 5mm foam, and I've got the vinyl cover for the S model seat as well, which will create a bit more room for this, and it'll have the same finish as the original seat. It up pretty well. It's a decent sized hump. It's probably a little bit more an aggressive hump than the S model seat in its stock form. But that's okay, because I was looking for something that's going to provide quite a bit of feeling of security, I suppose, for the pillion. So that's done. That's worked out all right. Next step, I'm going to staple the seat cover to that. Now this is a used seat vinyl, and luckily it's already sort of pre-stretched, which is a little bit hard to show on camera, but as you can see that's already settled pretty close to how I want it to be. What's really nice about it though is that it had been fitted to a stock seat, so there's a little indentation which surprisingly is showing up quite well on the camera. It's a lot harder to see than that in person, but that little indentation, I'll use that. I'll line that up with the center line that I've got on the back of the seat base. I'll staple the front to secure it, I'll staple the back to secure it, and then I'll pull this down and then tension it and secure it in the front corners. That should create this tight sort of section between the back section and the front. Then I'll just work my way around and staple it. I'm not going to do how to staple it. There's plenty of videos on YouTube on how to staple a seat cover to a base. This is just to show that because I'm using the stock foam from an S model that's already pre-curved, I'll probably hit this with a hairdryer just to soften it up a little bit, to make it a little bit easier. It's pretty cold at the moment. It's winter time here, so that'll just make life a bit easier for me as I'm working through the stapling process. Alright, here it is, all done, fitted. The bike's up on the rear stand at the moment, so the back end's lifted about 3 degrees compared to when it's sat horizontal. So it's got a nice sort of almost flat surface right at the front, which should stop the pillion from sliding off when the bike's under brakes. Should be nice. The factory vinyl has meant that it retains that nice factory look, especially mixed with the original front seat. So I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. Pulling that vinyl in nice and tight down towards the front corners has worked really well for getting the vinyl to follow the hump, and in the end I didn't end up using the 5mm foam, and you can't even really tell that that it's had that piece glued on. So there is one sort of little blemish that you can see just there right in the middle of the shot. That's where the 5mm foam would have sort of blended that a little bit nicer and taken that away, but I don't think most people will notice, and so I think that's pretty fine. But yeah, for now that's the finished product. The real test will be getting a pillion on and seeing if it's a lot more stable and feels a lot more secure. So neat little project. If you ever want to hybrid two seats together, that's the process you follow. But this one specifically was an FZ1S seat hump for the pillion grafted to the FZ1N pillion seat.